Jai Srimad Narayan. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagat Guru Sudarshan Acharyaji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to the Purva Acharyas. I pay my obeisances to the 12 Valvas. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi. And I pay my obeisances to Lord Srimad Narayan. I welcome all of you here physically at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those that are watching this discourse locally, nationally, and internationally. And I welcome in advance those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted on YouTube and the various groups from around the world subsequently. We are currently discussing on the main topic of oneness and the subtopic idolatry and idol worship. And today I want to debunk the perception held by those of the Abrahamic religions, namely Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. I want to debunk the perception that is held by the followers of these religion or religious groupings that those that belong to Sanatan Dharma, or colloquially known as Hindus, worship many gods, worship stones, sticks, metal, and other material elements. So it is with scriptural injunctions today we are going to once and for all debunk that Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism is a myth or a mythology. I have stated in previous discourses that when we interpret or when we understand or try to understand scriptures, we must understand scriptural injunction through logic, through reason, through science, and not through emotions. Not through emotions. And it is human nature to emotionally favor that in which you are born in. That will not synchronize with the golden rule of absolute truth that is found in all religions, which we discussed comprehensively, I think, on Thursday or Sunday previously. So when your brother is involved in a fight, then you naturally, it is instinctive to assist your brother in the fight, notwithstanding what the reason of the fight is. Is it not our human nature to do so? How many percent do you think is going to stop the fight, Satish Bhai, and find out who was right and who was wrong? What percentage of humanity will do that? Very little, because instinctively, if your brother is involved, and the saying goes, I'll kill for my blood. Jai Bharat. In your little speck of a life in this creation at this point in time in this body. Have you experienced that? Did you take a bush knife and run after somebody? Dana?
Yes.
You experienced it? You took a bush knife and ran? Okay. Dana is forthright and Jay is forthright too. But Jay would rather pacify everything. It's his character to pacify. I think he's one of the 0.00% that would try and stop the fight and try and reason out. Jay Bhai, is Guru right or no? Okay. And I don't think your brothers love you very much, Jay Bhai. Okay. So when you are born in a particular religion, when you take birth in a particular religion, then as you would protect your brother factually or non-factually, but instinctively, then you tend to protect your religion that you took birth in, instinctively. Don't you? So the purpose of this discourse is to break this understanding. Because if we do not break this understanding, we are dying around the world today because of this misunderstanding, because of our instinctive nature to emotionally counter the truth. Remember, emotion is a feeling, and the absolute truth is God. And you cannot equate a feeling with the absolute truth, can you? Because emotion does not know right or wrong. It is simply a feeling. It is not quantified or qualified to give you an absolute equation. But the absolute truth can give you an absolute equation. And the purpose of this discourse is to break away that mentality of fighting through emotions. And right now, today, currently in India, this has entered into the political mainstream of India, where you have your Prime Minister Narendra Modi on one side promoting Hindutva, and you have the Islamic groupings on the other side accusing Prime Minister Narendra Modi of not ruling India as per the constitution of India, which is secularism. But if these Muslims go into Sanatan Dharma and qualify through scriptural injunctions, they will find that there is no difference between Hindutva and secularism. Because in India, the most amount of mosques from around the world is found in India. The most amount of mosques in any country from around the world is found in India. All of you understand? So, the reason this is happening is religious, political leaders are stoking the emotions and sentiments to their particular religious groupings. And this is creating factions. This is creating factions. And the purpose of this discourse is to bring to light the absolute truth and mend the various religion or religious groupings through the glue of oneness. Through the glue of oneness. And if we understand that we are one, then there will be no need for factionalism. Will there be any need for factionalism? Will there be any need for one being superior over the other? So I've continuously, I think we're quite far in this discourse on oneness and also on the topic of idolatry and idol worshipping. We've delved deep, and I'm always overlapping this and making a statement that this is a very, very sensitive topic. This topic is absolutely sensitive and it needs to be threaded with love. It needs to be threaded with love. And my intention is not to show that Sanatan Dharma is superior to any other religious groupings, but to scientifically bring to light that the core principles continued evolving with time. And it is suffice to state with absolute reason that currently known to man that the oldest scriptures is the Vedas. This cannot be debated because material science itself has confirmed through various carbon dating and other processes that the oldest scriptures known to mankind is the Vedas. Then to corroborate this absolute truth, there have been various excavations in the East. And these excavation and the artifacts and various scientific methodology of verifying date items, sediments show that Sanatan Dharma is the oldest surviving religion. Not only the oldest, it is the oldest surviving religious principles that is currently experienced today. And I always state religious principles when I talk about Sanatan Dharma. I have never called Sanatan Dharma a religion. Have you noticed? Have you noticed? Because Sanatan Dharma is a way of life for every living entity, not only you. For every living entity. And I've qualified previously that in the Padma Purana it is stated that there are 8.4 million species of life form. 8 million belongs to the aquatics, to the reptiles, to the plant and creepers, to the animals, to the birds, and 400,000 levels of consciousness in one species called man. 400,000 levels of consciousness in one species called man, and hence you get 8.4 million species of life forms. Sanatan Dharma is for all living entities. For all living entities, but only one species has intellectual capacity to assimilate the knowledge of Sanatan Dharma. Only one species, and it is the duty of this species to use this knowledge, to uplift humankind, the aquatic, the plant, the reptile, the animal, and the birds. Because only this species has intellectual capacity to do so. You understand? So the human form is the via medium between God, Devis and Devtas, and the lower species of life, as I've indicated. The humankind is the via medium. And God created a perfect system. And there is an absolutely hierarchy in this system. An absolute hierarchy in this system. And I want to give you an example. So today, this morning, I was observing an activity on one of our flowering palm trees, where a swarm of bees was extracting honey from the flowers. And they were busy at work, and they were also dropping in that process, a lot of flowers are falling to the ground. Then these bees will take this honey where? So they're going to have a hive somewhere. They're going to extract the honey and take it and store it in the hive. And they are working under whose command? Jessica. Sorry? Okay. Oh, sorry, Jessica. The queen bee. That is? Are you feeling like one of those bees? Buzzing away under command of your wife? Okay, Jessica. So, if insects have a hierarchy, a command-based hierarchy, have you all seen ants? Have you seen ants storing food? Have you seen a row of ants coming down the wall and one ant going up the wall? Have you noticed it will hit every ant going up? Have you noticed? They have a discipline. They have a hierarchy. They are worker ants. They perform a duty. Have you noticed how small they are? So if the species, little species, have a hierarchy, created species have a hierarchy, then don't you think the creator of this entire universe himself would have a hierarchy? Don't you think the Lord, the creator of this universe, who created these insects who have a hierarchy and a category to function within, don't you think that the Lord who created this entire universe will also have a hierarchy to assist him in his functions? And this hierarchy is called cosmic administrators. In the Abrahamic religions, they are referred to as angels. But in Sanatan Dharma, they are called Devis and devtas. So right at the top, right at the top, the Supreme Lord in His purest form, in His purest, absolutely purest form, existing in absolute purity and bliss, is Lord Sriman Narayan. Is Lord Sriman Narayan. That's His existence. That is His existence. Right at the top. Similar to a country. A country has a president. All the buck stops at the presidency. You cannot go higher than the presidency in terms of hierarchy in a country. Similarly, Lord Sriman Narayan is the supreme form of the Lord. For the purposes of creation, He manifests into four forms. Vasudeva, Sankarsana, Aniruddha, and Pratiyum. So you have right at the top, Lord Sriman Narayan, then His manifestation into four forms for the purposes of material creation. And below that four forms, you have Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, or Lord Shiva. And below, let's call this the working committee. Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, let's call them the working committee. You heard of a working committee in an organization? And don't you think the creator, secondary creator is Lord Brahma? The maintainer of this universe is Lord Vishnu, and the destroyer of this universe is Lord Shiva. Below the working committee, you need to have the Devis and Devtas, and you need to have the head of the Devis and Devtas, and the head of the Devis and Devtas is Lord 99% of Sanatan Dharma is in my satsang. And you don't know your own hierarchy of the Lord. Lord Indra. Lord Indra. And below Lord Indra, you have the 330 million Devis and Devtas. How big is this universe? No, it's finite. This universe is material and it is finite. It has a diameter. It has a 4 billion. The diameter is 4 billion miles of this universe. It's a very small universe. There are bigger universes, and the diameter of this universe is 4 billion miles. And in this universe, the size of 4 billion miles, you think 330 million cosmic administrators should suffice? Should suffice? So is it looking now like a myth that we have so many Devis and Devtas? Are we debunking now the myth? Are we debunking that Sanatan Dharma has 330 million gods that you must worship. These are cosmic administrators. And I don't know why Swami Prabhupada called them demi-gods. Okay? But they are Devis and Devtas or cosmic administrators. Demigods come from the Greek language. Alright? So maybe we must do some research when you got time. You like languages? Just animals. Okay. Anyone got a love for languages here? Mr. Maharaj, you love languages? Just maths. Okay. That is why? I want this to settle in your minds here, because you are as confused as the followers of the Abrahamic religions about Sanatan Dharma, aren't you? You yourself here are as confused as those that follow the Abrahamic religion when they say that Sanatan Dharma is a myth. There are millions of gods they worship. I want this to sink in. There are 330 million cosmic administrators that need to take care of the affairs of the cosmos. What is the cosmos? We want to be logical. I said we must use logic, must use the God-given intellect only you have. The 8 million species do not have intellect. Only you have intellect. They have knowledge suitable for their survival. They have knowledge suitable for their survival. Demeter, I want you to capture an ant outside and bring 2 grains of sugar and place it on my stage, and 2 grains of salt and place it on my stage, and place the ant in between. Where you think the ant is going to go to? Why? Knowledge. It has knowledge that is salt and this is. So all 8 million species have knowledge to varying degrees, but man has intellect, and this intellect can tap into the database of comprehensive knowledge. This intellect can tap into the database of comprehensive knowledge, and this comprehensive knowledge is called the Vedas. So let me explain. If you want to know anything about soaps and perfumes, who will you turn to? J. Who will you turn to? J. Why will you turn to J? Because he has comprehensive experience in all soapy products. He's the soap man. Also perfume, J-Bhai. Perfume, soaps, you go to J-Bhai. Can we say now that the knowledge of soaps and perfumes and deodorants is an attribute of J-Bhai? Can we say that, Khatija? Yes, the knowledge of soaps, deodorants, and all that fits into cosmetics, that area, that knowledge is an attribute of J-Bhai. Is an attribute of J-Bhai. All of you understand So the Supreme Lord, what knowledge does he not have? Let's look, I want to look at this logically. What knowledge does he not have? Dana? Supreme Lord has all the knowledge? You believe? Can the Supreme Lord be devoid of any knowledge? Can he be devoid of any particular knowledge? That is why you think you know how to give you a recipe for a beautiful chops chutney.
Yes.
Yes, you will have that knowledge. The Supreme Lord won't be devoid of any knowledge. Then can we conclude that knowledge is an attribute of the Supreme Lord and also the essence of the Supreme Lord? Can we conclude that knowledge is the essence of the Supreme Lord? It is also its attribute. So, can we conclude now that the Supreme Lord is the substantive? Can we conclude now that the Supreme Lord is the substantive? And how do you reach the substantive? Through its attributes. Let me break it down. Let me give you an example. So if you find a huge company, a big, huge company somewhere, and you see J's, you see a J there with apostrophe S. Alright? And you see machines and fumes and boilers, trucks, you see an entire ecosystem, and it's written there, J's Cosmetics International. Alright? So that is your first knowledge. Knowledge through your sight. You saw J's, apostrophe S, Cosmetics International. So you enter the company and you start eliciting knowledge. Who is that J that is flashing 10 feet? Huge signboard, J is Cosmetics. And then through the various people in the company, you will finally find out that he is a aging man, still handsome for his age, if I may say so. That is Abhavi. Alright. And you will finally meet him. You will finally get to know him. Because he is the substantive and the company is his attribute. So through his attribute, knowledge of his attribute, you continue gain knowledge until you reach the substantive. Now J-Bhai might not be as calm and peacefully as he is here today in satsang if he is in that position. A multi-trillionaire you just can't meet. Here in satsang you can meet him. There you have to go through a hierarchy. Alright? I don't know, but J-Bhai might not even see you. I can't see anyone here in my satsang qualified to see Jai Bhai when he is there. Alright? I'm joking, Jai Bhai. Oh, maybe not joking. Let's wait to see you there. Alright? Are you understanding? But ultimately, the knowledge will lead you to the substantive, which is Jai. So similarly, there is a hierarchy in this universe. There is a hierarchy in this universe by the substantive, which is Lord Sriman Narayan. And Lord Sriman Narayan has infinite attributes. But I'm just going to refer, for our purposes, in this mere 100 years or 70 years or 80 years that we live in, 3 of his attributes. 3 of his attributes. And those 3 attributes are the infinite souls. The infinite souls and material nature, and when these 2 are combined, they give you the universe, the manifested universe. So the 3 attributes will be: 1 is infinite spirit souls, number 2, material nature, and number 3, the combination of material nature and the infinite souls. Like you today seated here, you are a combination of material nature and spirit soul, aren't you? Body is material, soul is spirit, and then you are in a universe which is also the attribute of the Supreme Lord. You understand? So I wanted to go into this background. I wanted to comprehensively go into this background. Are you hot? Are you hungry? We have aircon and we have lunch, alright? We have aircon and we have lunch, because if you see the amount of books that I am surrounded by, I think we might just stop at supper. Besides baby, no one else is allowed to leave this satsang. Besides baby, no one is permitted to leave this satsang. I'm sure you'll enjoy this topic, because it is the duty of every living human being to know 3 things. Who am I? Who am I? What am I doing here? What am I doing here? Sorry, let's make it 4. How did I get here, and how can I get out? These are the 4 things you should be contemplating all the time. And it is the duty of a guru to teach you who you are, how you got here, what you are doing here now, and how to get out of this mess. This entire life is a mess. How you landed in this mess and how to get out of this mess. And I thought today, whilst I was in my kutir dressing up for this satsang, that Sita was about to leave this mess. because I heard some funny sounds in my kitchen. Sounds that you hear when somebody's life is leaving their body. Gurgling sounds, frightening sounds. And I ran to the kitchen to see of what assistance I could be. And I asked Sita, what's troubling you? She said, there's a bee buzzing around. Alright? Okay, you can put that in brackets, joke, whoever is transcribing. But Sita, did you make those sounds, yes or no? Sita?
That was frightening.
Okay, the bees were frightening. Right? Guru does not tell lies, alright? Coming back, as I said, this is a sensitive topic, but we have to unpack it with the absolute truth. And we are stating that Sanatan Dharma is the oldest known religion to mankind. It's proven through history and proven through archaeology and excavations. It's already there in the domain. It is for you. Do not be lazy and let the Guru give you everything. When you leave here, go into the internet. Go into the internet. Instead of going on WhatsApp and keep being a keyboard warrior, be a keyboard warrior and elicit knowledge. All this knowledge that you gain, it shapes you. It shapes you to be a better human and an understanding human being. An understanding human being. And when you interact with the various religious groupings, you'll be armed. You won't look at them as superior or inferior. You will look at them as being your very own. You understand? So I want to just quote a few scriptures to verify what I've stated. And remember, we don't have authority to go into another religious scripture to demean anyone. To demean anyone. You have some water, Bobby? Dana, get some water for her. You can go outside and come back. You understand? And similarly, no other religious personalities should come into the scriptures of Sanatan Dharma and try and understand it for a particular purpose in their mind. Do you understand? Because we can take a whole lot of scriptural injunctions out of context to suit our own emotions at a particular time. All of you understand? So we should not go into the Bible or into the Torah or into the Quran and extract through text torturing and text torture to suit our own context. All of us understand. So we are going into the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Sri Krishna was alive in his Krishna incarnation about 5,200 years ago. And he was having a conversation with Uddhava, one of his disciples. And in this conversation, he gave a certain instruction. He gave a certain instruction. And I stated last, I think on Thursday, that it would be improbable of the Lord as himself not to teach his creation who he is. I stated it would be improbable of the Supreme Lord not to personally teach His own creation who He is. Is it logical? And as I stated, and I use Jessica and Satisfy as I often do as examples, that they have 2 children, and it is improbable for them to have 2 children and let them grow up without them knowing who their parents are. By blindfolding them and making them grow up, and then through abstract means giving them survival things to survive on without them seeing their faces. You think it makes sense? If it does not make sense for an insignificant human being, and I'm using the word insignificant with love, then don't you think the significant Creator, the Supreme Lord, should make Himself known to His creation? Is it logical for the Lord to make Himself known? Is it logical for the Lord to give comprehensive information about Himself and His creation? It's like buying a car with the manufacturer not giving you a handbook. What size pistons will you buy when you need to repair the engine? Where will you source the specs of your spares? How would you maintain this car? What is the mandate on services? What size tires you put on this car? Are you understanding? So a manufacturer will not manufacture something with specifics without giving a manual on how to synchronize that specifics with which he created. Don't you think? And that manual is called the Vedas. That manual is called the Vedas. So if you want to know your Creator, if you want to know yourself, or if you want to know the creation in which you are subsisting, then you go to the Vedas. Don't you think it is logical that the Lord, as manufacturer, created this knowledge for you already and handed it to you? And handed it to mankind, so that this information can be passed on generation to generation to generation to generation. All of you understand? Is this logical? Is this scientific? Is this common sense? That the manufacturer must be known. The manufacturer must be known comprehensively. And the manufactured product must also be known comprehensively. And the environment in which the manufactured product is going to subsist must also be known comprehensively. So in the Vedas, there is absolutely nothing that is missing. Everything that exists in the universe exists in the Vedas. Then we said, today we concluded that comprehensive knowledge is the essence of the substantive, who is the Supreme Lord Himself, which ultimately equates to, there is absolutely no difference between the Vedas, which is Lord's spoken word, written down for our benefit, and the Lord Himself. there is no difference between the Lord's spoken word and the Lord himself. Mr. Maharaj, you said mathematically we must come to you. Alright. So you know solving for x. You know how we solve for x. Many of you did maths here. You'll know of the equation solving for x. When we say equation, what it means? A set of figures on this side is equal to x on this side, isn't? The set of figures on this side is equal to x on this side, and they say solve for x. Similarly, I'm saying that all the Vedas on this side is equal to Lord Sriman Narayan on this side. Because there is no difference between the substantive and his essence, which is knowledge, which was concluded by all of us here today through reason and logic. I have not used any Vedic injunctions here, but we have used reason and logic. Okay? So the first injunction, so in order to get knowledge, how many of you had grandparents that gave you knowledge? Don't feel shy. How many of you had grandparents that gave you knowledge? All of us. Put your hands up. Alright, everyone got knowledge. Good knowledge from your grandparents, alright? Grandparents told the girls, don't wear short clothing. Don't wear revealing clothing. Grandparents said that and told the boys, don't drink and smoke. Grandparents said that. Grandparents said that. You all remember in your own language, maybe they didn't know English, but they told you in Hindi, Tamil, Urdu. You all remember? And they always gave an example. Grandparents gave example. Grandparents gave examples. And they also said where they learned it from. They also said where they learned it from. So in Sanatan Dharma, all the scriptures, or majority of the scriptures, is from a disciple asking a spiritual master a question. A disciple asking a spiritual master a question. And that question benefits the disciple and the spiritual master at that point in time, and it benefits mankind as long as mankind exists. All of you understand? So at this point in time, Uddhava, who is a disciple of Lord Sri Krishna, asked Lord Sri Krishna a question which was to benefit those 5,200 years ago and to benefit mankind subsequently, like today. The Vedas were relevant on that particular day when this conversation took place, and the Vedas is as relevant today. And the Vedas will be as relevant tomorrow up until time creation dissolves. Okay, Khatija, you're going to photograph this book. Remember to take it from me, alright? Sri Uddhava said, semicolon, before I go there, it's Canto 11, chapter 27. Canto 11, chapter 27. All of you seated here, who is Lord Sri Krishna to you? Who do you believe Lord Sri Krishna to be?
Incarnation of Lord Brahma. Narayan.
An incarnation of Lord Sriman Narayan, an avatar of Lord Narayan is Lord Sri Krishna, and we stated that in the absolute sense there is no difference between the Lord and his manifestation as an avatar. So he is only called Krishna when he assumes the two-armed form in the form of a human on earth. But his body is not made of human elements. It is absolutely transcendental. So he has a spiritual body in the shape of a human body so that you can interact with him, and he is called Krishna. And Krishna means all attractive in Sanskrit. Krishna means all attractive in Sanskrit. So it is Lord Sriman Narayan in his incarnation as Lord Sri Krishna on earth 5,000 plus minus 5,200 years ago, and this question was asked by Uddhava, who is a devotee of Lord Sri Krishna. So we have conclusively concluded here at this satsang that Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Alright? And we are stating that the Lord must explain to his creation how to behave within his creation. Because he is the creator. Is it logical or not logical? Some other entity can't ask you how to behave in Lord's creation. The Lord have to tell you himself, this is my creation, I created the universe, I also created you, and this is how you must behave in my creation. There cannot be an abstract where you, the onus on you is to decide on who God is. Is it logical for God to leave the onus upon you to believe who God is or to describe who God is? Why? Because humans are prone to make mistakes. Humans make mistakes every day. Always, how many mistakes you made this morning from the time you got up? You don't know or you did not make? You don't know or you did not make?
It's difficult to rectify your mistake.
Okay. That is, there's one honest man in my satsang. Alright? But the Guru will teach you how to rectify it. That's why the Guru is there. Alright? And this Guru never fails. This Guru never fails. So man is prone to make mistakes, and man is prone to cheat. Man is prone to cheat. Man is a great cheater. He can devise a god to cheat you out. And they are doing it all over the world every day. Has man not devised all types of religious principles and all types of God, and they are busy cheating? Is the world not being cheated? Because man has the propensity to cheat, propensity to make mistakes, and man is in illusion. Is man not in illusion? What does illusion mean?
Lack of knowledge.
Yeah. Man believes he is the body. In absolute truth, he is the soul. So if you are living in a perception, how can you deduce the absolute truth? Can you deduce through perception the absolute truth? It's like taking a piece of metal which you perceive to be glass, which you perceive to be glass, you put it in a huge telescopic lens, and whatever you see on that metal, you describe. Whatever you see on the metal, which you believe is the lens, which you believe is the lens. But the lens of a telescope must be glass. Are you understanding? But through your perception, so when you see through perception, you see the truth or you see falsity. So how can you use that sight of falsity to describe the absolute truth? Are you understanding? And this is why God came down to earth in His compassion to teach you who He is and how to behave, so there can be no mistakes. Because God is not in an illusion. He is the absolute truth. He has no propensity to make mistakes, and He has no propensity to cheat. All of you understand? Can you see the logic of God coming down in human form? Can you see the logic of God coming down in human form? Why would He come in human form? So that you and God can communicate. So that you and God can communicate. If God came in His own form, you think you'll have capacity to have a relationship with Him in this human body? Anyone? Alright. So Sri Uddhava said, "My Lord, O Master of the devotees, please explain to me the prescribed method of worshipping you in your deity form." In your deity form. What are the qualifications of those devotees who worship the deity, on what basis is such worship established, and what is the specific method of worship? That is Canto 11, Chapter 27, Text 1. Text 2. I just want to speed this and give you the concluding text. Text 7, the Lord is replying to the first question. Right? He is saying, one should carefully worship me by selecting one of three methods by which I receive sacrifice. Verdict, tantric, or mixed. Text 8. Okay. I'm just finding the relevant text to debunk deity worship as expounded by the followers of the Abrahamic religion. So I'm going to text number 12, and this is the Lord speaking. The deity form of the Lord is said to appear in 8 varieties: stone, wood, metal, earth, paint, sand, the mind, or jewels. Alright? So I'm going to conclude with this verse. In Sanatan Dharma, the Lord has specified how He should be worshipped in the deity And this is an absolute injunction because it was spoken by the Lord Himself. It is neither here nor there if any other subsequent religious institution accepts this injunction or not. This injunction is for those that are following Sanatan Dharma. And in Sanatan Dharma, the Lord has appeared personally to deliver the Vedic injunctions. All understood? Okay, Vika. Jai Shriman Narayan. Just on this, I've got a small announcement to make before